Hey everyone, welcome back to the Freelance Mama. My name is Kelly, and it's my mission to help mums to successfully transition out of their 9 to 5s and into a flexible freelance business. So today I wanted to actually talk about that topic, which is successfully transitioning from a 9 to 5 into a career as a freelancer. So I wanted to start by sharing a little bit of my backstory because I think it's really cool to see when somebody else has sort of gone through that process and how they went through it, but also because my story sort of shows you a bit of a way of not to do it. So hopefully that will be a little bit helpful to you and give you some insight into the process that I went through. And then I'm going to give you some ideas of how to go about it in a bit of a better way than what I did, and then some of the things that did work from the process that I went through of transitioning out of my job as a lawyer. So I want to take you back to, I think it was 2017. My youngest son was 2, my eldest was 4. And I went back to work as a lawyer. I went back full time about a year prior to that. And I had thought that it was something that I could cope with. Um, I knew my kids were little, I knew the career was demanding, but I had wanted to get back into law and see how that would work for our family. And really, I got to the point after about a year of working full time where it just became really obvious that it wasn't going to work for our family. We both of our boys were still preschool age. They were in childcare all day, really. So we would get up in the mornings, they would go into, we'd get up, we'd feed the kids, we'd rush out the door, drop my first child off at his daycare centre at 7 a.m., the second one to preschool by 7:30, and then off into the city for work. And usually my husband would pick the kids up around about, well, again, one was 5:30, one was 6 o'clock. He'd go home, get them fed. I would get home later, sometimes well into the evening after the kids had gone to bed. And after doing this for a while, we realized that this just really was not a model that was working well for our family. It was hard every time the kids got sick. We both had demanding careers, so demanding schedules where it was quite hard to figure out who was going to be the one who was going to look after the kids. There were times where one or other of us was traveling, so altogether it was just a ginormous juggle, and we were working so hard during the week. We were hardly seeing our kids, and come the weekends, then life was spent with doing all of that life admin catch up where you're doing the grocery shopping and cleaning the house and all of those things. And so it became really, really stressful. So we decided that we needed to make a change. We made the decision that it would be me that would leave my job, and so I quit my job and decided to pursue a business. So I had a few business ideas up my sleeve. I had started a blog, and I had wanted to grow that and try and monetize that. And I purchased a small online baby store that I had wanted to grow and turn into a profitable business. And so I was probably a bit naive at that time about the how it was going to go, starting a business, and how long it would take to get generating an income from that business. But nevertheless, I left my corporate job and dove into starting a business. Now, before I did leave my job, we had saved up a bit of money so that we would have a bit of a buffer. So we worked out, how much money we would need to get by for a few months without me having a job, and so we had put that money aside. So that gave us an option to have a bit of time to sort of work on a business and see if we could get that off the ground, and then. Before I would have to go back to work or find another job. So we got to the point about 6 months in where uh, the business that I had bought just wasn't generating enough money to replace the income that I'd lost. My blog had, I was still working on it, but it was taking longer to get traction than what I had hoped. And I was getting to the point where it was looking like I was going to have to get another job, or at least get a part-time job, go back to work in some capacity. And I was really not wanting to have to do that. And at around about that point in time, I was approached by a friend who said they knew of somebody who was looking for a little bit of help with their legal business. And so while I was sort of reluctant to get back into the legal space, there was an opportunity to do some work where I wouldn't have to be a lawyer, where I'll be able to work as a legal assistant, doing a bit of research and admin sort of work, helping somebody with their business. So I thought that was actually a pretty good opportunity at that time. I was able to do that as a contractor. That person didn't want an employee, so I was able to do it as a contractor, as a freelancer, and bill my time on an hourly rate, and get paid for that work. And that was a really fantastic opportunity because I'd never really understood that there was an opportunity to do work that way as somebody with a legal career. Of course, I knew that there were people who did work as contractors, but as a former lawyer, I hadn't really sort of thought about the fact that I could use the skills that I had to create a business like that and get paid. So took on that opportunity, and then if you've followed me for a while, or read any of my content, you'll probably realize that over time I managed to turn that into a regular income stream where I was getting work coming in all the time, and I didn't have to end up going back to that regular 9 to 5 sort of a situation. So fabulous opportunity for me, worked out really well for our family, meant that I've been able to work from home and be there, and be the one who looks after the kids when the kids are sick. My husband still has the same job, so he still travels a bit and still has a fairly demanding schedule. So having one of us having the flexibility to work from home most of the time has been really, really great for our family. So to sort of move on then and go down to the next point, I wanted to sort of touch on what I would do if I had a do-over. So first of all, when I quit my job, I hadn't realized that freelancing was an opportunity. So if I had have realized that freelancing was an opportunity that would have been available to me, I would have spent some more time actually, researching that, figuring out what I would do as a freelance business, and probably starting to do some background work, setting that business up before I actually left my job, so that I could sort of test the waters a little bit before I lost that full-time income. So things that I could have done to do that would have been to have talked to people about my business idea. So I could have done that by, talking to family and friends, talking to former colleagues or former bosses about my idea for my business, and finding out if they, think it was a good idea, or perhaps even if some of them might know where I could get some work, could put the feelers out there. Even if you wanted to, or I could have I could have tried to have found some work that I either could have done a little bit of, provided that it was. I haven't looked back to see if this was something that would have worked, but the contract that I had at the time, just if it was consistent with that I could have done a little bit of work on the side, but prior to actually leaving my job. For me, I had a pretty full-on job, so it would have been hard to do a lot. But for some people, that's an option. And the other opportunity, I could have actually lined up some work and said, okay, well, I'm going to start this business. I'm going to give 6 weeks notice or whatever for my job. I'll be available from this month if you want, work done, and have sort of started to put feelers out there to, try and line up some work, so that when I did leave my job, I at least would have had a bit of work lined up, a bit of income coming in, and that would have taken the pressure off as well while I started to build that business. So those are some of the things that I would do if I had a do-over. And then, what could you do if you were wanting to do this as well? So I would say, put the time into that planning. Get really clear on what your freelance business is going to do, the kind of services you're going to offer, what services are in demand, and yeah, start talking to people about that business. If you don't want to go public with it and talk to family and friends or colleagues or that kind of thing about your business idea, you could talk to people in Facebook groups. You can post anonymously in Facebook groups and ask people, what kind of, what their feedback is on your business idea. You can sort of have a look in some of those Facebook groups and see what kind of services people are asking for help with. So you can put your plan in place for your business before you leave your day job. And then you might even, as the next step, you might start doing what I would have done, setting up some work, finding the work, putting the feelers out there, maybe lining up some jobs that you can start once you've given notice, or if you have the ability to do it while you're still working, to start taking on a little bit of that work while you're still working, because that'll give you the confidence to move forward with your business, and it'll also help you to bring in a little bit of money. And that of course does take the pressure off. Then just sort of touching upon a couple of other things as well. One of the things that did work really well for us was putting aside that money before I left my job. So, you can do this, you can do what we did, you can look at your expenses and you can say, okay, well, we spend this much a week. We want to have 12 weeks or 6 months or whatever your period of time is. And then before you leave your job, you can save up enough money that will help you cover those expenses while you work on your business. And then the other thing too, which I think is a really good idea, and I sort of had this a little bit, but I didn't want to. It's not what I wanted to do, but was to have a backup plan. So, in the event that your freelance business doesn't work out, sort of like what happened with me, my business, my baby business, and my blog didn't end up working out. So I knew that at the end of that period of time, when the money ran out, that I would have to do something different. I would have to get a part-time job. I would have to go back to my job. It wasn't what I wanted to do, but at least in the back of my mind, I knew that I would have the opportunity to, go back and continue with that career um, as a fallback position. So I think it's quite a nice idea. I know we all have the best laid plans and we don't want to sort of be negative about it, but it's kind of, I think it's better sometimes to have that idea in your mind that there's something you can come back to. Something you could do as an alternative, and it's a bit less stressful than trying to make it up as you go along. So hopefully you can take something from my experience, learn little bit from what I went through, and not have to go through that level of stress yourself, and have a bit of a smoother transition into your freelance career from your 9 to 5. And I hope it all goes really, really well for you. But if you want to learn a little bit more about how to start your own freelance business, then make sure you follow along on Instagram and Facebook at The Freelance Mama. I would love to get to know you and help you a bit on your journey. I do run regular challenges to help mums to identify their first freelance business idea and to get that started. And very soon I'm going to be launching a online membership where you can join and join our lovely community of freelance mamas and get some support along the way on your journey. So lovely to talk to you, and I will see you again soon.